The episode opens in Tingen City, where a somber rain falls, as if mourning Neil's death. Leonard, Rosen, Dunn, and Klein are all deeply saddened. Klein goes to Neil's room, haunted by memories and the echoes of his voice. Inside, a bottle rolls toward his feet, and he begins to cry as he recalls the past. On the desk, he notices Neil's diary and starts reading it. Just then, Rosine appears at the door with a letter for Klein from Ozik. The letter reveals that Ozik has left Tingen and is heading for back. He believes the criminal activity related to his son's killers has subsided because of his presence in the city. He hopes his departure will cause them to resurface, giving Klein an opportunity to catch them. Ozik also mentions that he found a mausoleum Klein told him about but couldn't place it. He hopes to regain his memory in Backland. He also leaves Klein a small charm or whistle. As Klein tucks it away, he sees Dunn approaching and quickly returns to reading the diary. A page falls from the diary as Dunn enters. Dunn asks Klein what he's doing. Klein picks up a wanted poster and asks Dunn who it belongs to. Dunn explains that it's a poster for an archbishop named Inch Sangwil, who went mad 3 years ago and escaped with sealed artifact 008. This artifact is incredibly powerful, capable of controlling many people, although low-ranking members are not allowed to know about such high-level artifacts. Dunn describes it as a quill that needs no ink. This detail makes Klein suspect it's either not a written artifact or it generates its own ink. This makes Klein realize that Inch Zangwil may be the Mr. Z he has heard about, a highly influential member of the secret organization. Dunn also explains that sealed artifacts are created from the emotions of Beyonders who reach the end of their lives, and the items they leave behind. Dunn offers Klein a sweet lemonade, knowing it's his favorite. He then tells him that now that he's a Sequence 8, he needs to understand more about the spirit world. He reveals that every night at 10 p.m., Klein's spiritual tutor, a Sequence 6 spirit guide named Miss Daly, will visit to help him. Dunn also brings the 22 tarot cards that Klein requested, which he plans to use as weapons. The scene shifts to the Benson household. Melissa excitedly greets Klein, noting that he seems very happy. Klein tells them he's a full-fledged police officer now and has received a raise, which he shares with his siblings. Benson, his older brother, tells them that he's also started studying, as he doesn't want to be stuck in a low-paying job forever. He also believes that education is what separates humans from monkeys. Klein goes to his room and uses a spirit room ritual to ensure privacy. He takes out the whistle that Ozik gave him. The whistle is meant to summon a little messenger to help him. When he blows it, no sound comes out. He's worried it's broken, but then a huge pile of bones gathers, forming a skeleton messenger. Klein recalls that this very messenger fought alongside Ozik in many battles. He realizes how powerful Ozik must be to consider such a being his little messenger. Suddenly, the skeleton dissolves as a green presence enters the room. It's Miss Daly. She explains that she is now a Sequence 6 spirit guide and will be his new tutor. Daly tells him she will teach him two things: how to summon a messenger and how to communicate with spirits in a way that allows them to delve deep into the subconscious and retrieve answers. She begins her lesson, but Klein quickly grows tired and bored. He tells her he is exhausted, but before she can respond, Dunn knocks on the door. Klein panics, but opens it. Dunn explains that there is an urgent and important mission they must go on. It is also hinted that Dunn and Daly are romantically involved, as they have plans to have dinner together. The mission takes them to the Green Hill Mental Asylum. A man named Ludwig Eugene, a Sequence 7 psychiatrist of the Spectator Pathway, has been captured. He was living as a normal citizen, but they need to interrogate his mind, which is now a jumbled mess. Dunn's nightmare ability is useless, so Klein must use spirit communication to enter his mind. As Klein prepares, Ludwig looks at him and says, "I've been waiting for you. Where's the cake you promised me, Mr. Al?" Klein is confused, but Ludwig begins to rave about his stolen cake, eventually breaking his chains and attacking Klein. Klein uses his tarot cards to bind Ludwig with chains, but he breaks free again. Dunn uses his nightmare ability to hold him in place. Klein realizes Dunn's powers have grown, and he too must be using the acting method. Klein then performs his ritual, allowing him to enter Ludwig's spirit to communicate. Inside the spirit world, Klein is overwhelmed by a mix of light and heavy sensations. He hears sounds and finds himself in a beautiful, luminous place. The spirit world, he learns, overlaps with the real world and holds the past, present, and future. He follows spirits and eventually enters Ludwig's mind. Klein summons his birds to form a mouth and asks Ludwig who he is. Ludwig replies, "I am Ludwig Eugene, a psychological alchemist." Klein is shocked, realizing this is a secret society, asks him what the psychological alchemists are doing in Tingen, but Ludwig doesn't reply. Klein then asks about the identity of Mr. Al, who promised him cake. Ludwig reveals that it's Lanavis, the one mentioned multiple times before. Ludwig's clear image of Lanavis confirms to Klein that he is incredibly powerful. Ludwig then begins to explain that Lenivus told him that he would one day learn who was behind him, and that by understanding this, he would gain control of his powers and eventually achieve godhood, a dream of all Beyonders. The identity of the one behind him is revealed not to be a person, but a god, the true creator. Klein is terrified, and the spirit world around him begins to collapse. The true creator's hand reaches for him, just as Klein is about to be consumed. The scene returns to reality, where Dunn shoots Ludwig, ending the threat. Dunn realizes that the true creator has appeared, and that the Aurora Order must be involved. This makes sense, as the Aurora Order worships the true creator, and they may be using the psychological alchemists to cover their tracks. They connect this to the letter that Mr. Z, a member of the Aurora Order, has, which states that doom is approaching, and they will sacrifice the city to help their master. Klein suspects that Lenivus is also closely tied to all of this, a theory that Dunn finds highly plausible. The two agree to investigate Lenivus further. The scene shifts to a newspaper report on a new murder case. John Maynard, a former member of Parliament, has been killed. His wife, Mary, is seen slapping a woman named Sharon Coy, a high society noblewoman. Sharon's husband, Baron Coy, has also passed away, and her stepson, the new Baron, is always by her side. Mary, driven mad with grief, accuses Sharon of being a shameless witch and tries to harm her, but is stopped by the Tingen mayor, Dennis. It's revealed that Dennis had sent Sharon to John last night, which suggests a cover-up. Sharon shakes hands with Dennis before leaving, while Mary, in a fit of rage, breaks things before leaving in her carriage, giving Klein a piercing look. As she passes, Klein and the Nighthawks investigate the scene. They learn that John died between 9 and 11 p.m., and that the cause of death appears to be natural. However, Klein realizes that this case is connected to the Beyonder world. He remembers that John Maynard was the accountant manager for the same fraud case that Lenivus was involved in. It's too much of a coincidence that John would be murdered just as Klein was about to investigate him. Using his divination, Klein confirms that a Beyonder was involved in the murder. He tries to divine more about Sharon, but receives a lot of interference, leading him to believe that she is either an evil person or connected to a very powerful organization. The episode's main story ends, but it continues with a scene in the City of Silver, where a man prays to the gods for mercy. The scene then shifts to Klein in his gray fog, communicating with Justice. Justice tells him that his suggestion for a national exam for civil servants has been approved by the kingdom in Backland. Justice then asks Klein about a secret. Is the second land of the gods mentioned in legends the residence of the true creator? Klein doesn't know the answer, but acts knowledgeable, telling her she doesn't need to know, which scares the hanged man. After reassuring him, Klein asks Justice to help him find information on a famous man, Vice Admiral Hurricane. It is here that Klein learns about the 7 admirals for the first time. Suddenly, a star in Klein's gray fog begins to glow. He pulls it down, and both Justice and the hanged man are amazed, mistaking it for a miracle. The star is the man from the City of Silver, and Klein realizes the language he's speaking is Jotun, a very ancient language. He dispels the star, and a warrior with golden hair appears. The warrior, Derek Berg, sees them as shadows, not humans. He asks if they are gods, and Klein says no, only a fool who loves history. Justice and hanged man introduce themselves by their names. Klein then offers him a tarot card to become their ally, and Derek chooses the sun. The episode ends.